Today I'm going to be going over how I would approach creating a single 6x9 inch panel for this upcoming coloring book graphic design project. I'm going to start off by showing you how I sketched out an idea. We're going to be tracing some photos that we find on the internet. I'm going to show you how to make some foreground and background objects using some of the templates that we've developed feel for in the mandala exercises. And then I'm going to make sure that everything I do is kind of has a coloring book feel. And I'm going to be doing this off of my laptop, so you'll see that even with a trackpad, you should be able to accomplish what I accomplish on your own, especially if you have a mouse. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new document, and this will be the document that I'm going to use for the coloring book. Now, I know that the width and the height for the coloring book panel is 6x9, so 6 inches wide by 9 inches high, but according to the specifications, we need it to be 6.125 by 9.25. The reason for this extra is because when they cut the book to make the finished product, some of the width will be cut off on the right hand edge, and some of the height will be also cut off on the bottom and the top. So about 1/8 of an inch of stuff being cut off. This is why the artboard needs to be a little bit bigger than the actual stuff that's going in the artboard. We're going to make sure that it's set to 300 ppi, and we're going to be using CMYK color this time. And we're just going to go ahead and hit create. So to start with, this is our board. Now we know that the extra 1/8 inch on the up and down, and also the 1/8 inch on the right hand side or the left hand side will be trimmed off by the Blurb book company. So remember not to put anything important near the edge because you won't be able to see it. Okay, I just wanted to bring in my sketch so that you can see a little bit of what I'm hoping to do. So let me just go ahead and show you that. I'm just going to place this in the document and scale it down. Let's make the width of it 6, maybe 10 here. There we go. Wait, where'd it go? There it is. This way you can kind of see what I'm trying to do here. So my thought was I would create kind of a landscape here with grass at the bottom and the forefront, a couple of elephants, a small and a large one, kind of looking at each other, or at least in the space, continuing the idea of the grass element all the way to the horizon where we'll see the sunset. For me, the sunset will be created via a mandala type of an effect, and then I'm going to be creating clouds in the background in the upper part of the space. And remember, I'm thinking specifically this is going to be coloring book oriented. So I'm going to go ahead and move this aside. I'll put it off to the edge of the artboard because I don't need that. And we're going to start by just going ahead and bringing in the thing that I will be tracing. So I'll be starting by tracing something first. So let's go ahead and place that. It'll be called elephant. I'm going to hit place, and I'm going to put that here. And this will be the elephant that I kind of found this online, and I thought, oh, that looks pretty good. I think it's easy to like figure out where the outlines are, and so I will go ahead and trace this using the pencil tool. So before we trace anything, we know that we want to go ahead and go to our layers palette. We want to find that image and select it, properties, maybe make the opacity about half as much, or just something so you can see where you're drawing. Going back to the layers, I'm now going to lock that layer because I don't want that to move. And now I'm going to create a new layer. This will be my drawing layer. I'm just going to call it drawing. And this is what I will be using to work with. And because the bottom layer is locked, I can't select it, as you can see. So we can actually get started drawing. So as we've done in the past, I'm going to select my pencil tool from the toolbar, N as in pencil, and I'm going to double click it and make sure that the things are selected in the way that I would like. So first off, I know that this elephant, I want to try to be a little bit precise, but it has some wiggles and stuff, so I definitely want to be a little more accurate. And I also want to make sure that these paths are in fact closed. So I'm going to make sure these are all checked. Once I have this selected, I'm going to hit OK. Then I'm going to be zooming in, and I'm going to just kind of get started maybe right here. So I will be drawing the outline, and I'm going to try to like do the back elements as a separate thing so that it will have like maybe one object, the body will be a second object, and then these feet will be a third object. So that's how I'm going to approach doing this, but you could do it any way you want. So let's start with the head. I'm just going to draw the ear, and again, this is with a trackpad, and I can see that and if I make a mistake like here, I could just go ahead and just go over that line. You can kind of see how that works. I'm not seeing a stroke, so I look up here, and in fact, yep, there is no stroke. So let me go ahead and add the stroke. I do want the fill to be clear because this is an outline, and I'm just going to continue. And because I have this selected, I can actually let go, move, and then just continue drawing. And the idea, again, is just to create something that traces the three parts of the elephant, the foreground part, which is the head, the middle part, and then the background part. And you don't have to be this precise. Again, it will be a coloring book, so you will be wanting it to be a little bit less detailed if necessary. Let's see what I'm seeing here, and you can kind of see that I was zoomed in way too far. So let's go ahead and do that. So maybe I'll make the ear as one object that's separate, because that's the one that is like in the forefront. So I'll just create this, create that, just kind of following this around, and then I will actually create an end to that. So that's one object that I've created. So the next object I'll probably want, let's go ahead and make the head part and the body kind of one thing. So I'm going to just go ahead and do this. I'm just going to assume that I go across like this. And you can see that started a whole new path. Now I could be a little more careful on the trunk, but I'm not going to be because you're watching me and you don't really want to see this. What I probably will do is to speed up the video, at this point, so that you're not bored to death, because this is just me using the pencil tool, and you've seen that before. So, and again, I want to be a little more precise. So here goes the video being sped up, and I'll see you on the other side of the elephant. Okay, at this point I've got the elephant pretty much traced out. I've got the elephant silhouette, I've got the background objects, which I'll push back here, and then I've got the ear, which is a forefront object. Now I'm going to change my pencil tool to be to actually just allow me to actually draw some just elements that are not connected. So I definitely want to turn this off and this one, and hit OK. And before I start, let's take a look at some of the stroke things that we can do. So currently the stroke is set to very thin, but I'm going to increase the size of the stroke because, again, this is a coloring book. And I'm going to make sure I've got everything selected here that I want actually expanded. And I'm going to go ahead and change the shape of that to allow it to be something more interesting. And then I'm going to do that for all the elements in this. Maybe I don't like that shape. Let's see. Maybe I want this. That looks interesting. I'll select this and I'll go increase the stroke, and I'll make it something like that. And I'll take this one and increase the stroke and make it one of these. That doesn't look as good. Let's try that. That looks okay. It gives us some change in size. I'll take the ear and do the same thing, increase the stroke, especially since it's in the forefront, and then change the shape of it. That looks kind of cool. That looks pretty good too. And if I see anything like this little area here, I can always fix it using the direct selection tool and just moving that little anchor point in so that it's on the inside. Let's see. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the pencil tool to kind of just add some lines of the things that I'm seeing, and I'm going to deselect here. Select, deselect. There we go. And you'll see that if I'm drawing, I've kind of got this uniform line, which is not very interesting. So I'm going to change that to one of the shapes that I like. And I'm going to change the stroke a little bit less, about 1.5 would be good. And I'll be drawing with that, so I'm going to just delete that. And because my appearance window was the window for the appearance, right here is, I made sure that this new art has basic appearances unchecked. That allows me to remember the stroke that I set, and so now I can just add the eye. And I'm also going to go ahead and actually make this a lot more smooth so that it looks a little more professional. So I'm just going to go ahead and add in them there, and then I'm just add this in and this. And I'm thinking coloring book at this point, so let's see, I'll just add this little guy in and just keep working. And the orientation of the stroke, undo here. The orientation of the stroke is important, so I'm just kind of adding in this element here. I'm going to add this element and then this element, and then this. Just kind of work it, and let's see, add this part in. Looks pretty good. I'm going to add some elements in here for the shadow. And then for the trunk, I might add a couple of things as well, and the idea of coloring in the trunk. And you can keep going and doing this, obviously, all day. Let's see, that looks okay. Maybe I'll just do something like this. Don't like that. So, and then I'll add the feet, little elements on the feet, the toenails. Again, you don't have to be precise, too precise. You can just let whatever you see kind of like influence you. There we go. So that's our elephant. If we turn off our tracing element, you kind of see that we've got a pretty nice elephant. If you see anything you don't like, you can fix it at this point. Maybe I'll just add a little stroke here. There we go. Maybe add a couple strokes here. Add some strokes here. Let's see. That looks pretty good. There's like something happening here that would be nice to add in. Same with the head. And probably something like that. And like that. So I'm just looking at what's happening here and trying to see if I could add a little bit more interest to the elephant itself. And I'll probably go back over this and try to like modify it if I need to. Again, because we want to have elements that we can color in here. For the most part, I'm pretty happy with what I'm seeing. Now, obviously, I'm going to be removing some of these elements using Shape Builder once we expand all this. So like this line here and those kinds of things. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with this elephant. Maybe I'll add this. That could actually be a line. So when I'm all done, I'm going to go ahead and select this elephant. And you can see by just zooming in that these are all currently just strokes, right? And that means that if I wanted to select any one of these strokes and actually change it, make it thicker in the end, which I kind of want to do here for this one for whatever reason. And I'm going to make this outline pretty solid, as well as these two. I'm just going to make them more uniform, 2-point uniform lines, so that we have a clear outline and then an interior space. So maybe this I will bring down a little bit so that it's not so strong. I'm also going to select this shape and actually make the fill color white so that it kind of occludes and then I'm going to bring it to the front. So you can see now this is in the front, which is one of the reasons why I did this. The same thing with this elephant itself. I'm going to take this guy and I'm going to fill it with white. And I'm going to move it so it's currently behind. This is currently in front of this, but we're going to move this to the back. And now you can see that's how we get rid of those back lines. Arrange, send to back. And now you can see that this is in the back, right? and why we didn't worry too much about it, as well as the back one here, and everything else looks good. So we're pretty much done with our elephant at this point. If I'm really happy with it and I know this is what I want, what I'm going to do is just select this elephant. I'm going to group it. Well, before I group it, let's actually go to Object, Expand Appearance, and you can kind of see now that we have outlines. So we have black obvious shapes. And now I'm going to open up my Pathfinder window, and I'm going to go to the merge, and I'm going to merge everything. So at this point we've got something merged. Let's see, before I do that, do the merge. If you ever have problems with the merging because of the way that this so we didn't quite select everything to expand the appearance of when we selected expand appearance. As you can see, these are still lines, so let's go to Edit, Object, Expand, and then we're going to expand that. And we still have a line here for whatever reason, which is weird, but we're going to click now on the merge, and now we have something that is completely a single solid shape, as you can kind of see here. It's also currently white on the inside, so for instance, if we draw a rectangle and make it blue and move it to the back, you'll see that that elephant has, for the most part, almost all of it colored in, which is important. Obviously we're missing the coloring for here and probably for this back leg as well. So let's go ahead and use our live paint tool to color that in. So select the elephant, hit K for live paint, make the color white, and then we're just going to go ahead and fill in these two shapes so that we have everything colored in. And you can kind of see that we also need to fill in this shape. So K. I'm going to hold the Option key down to sample the white and then fill that in, and also just fill these guys in. Even though we can't see it, we know that we're filling it in. Okay, so I'm going to just zoom out. I'm going to go back to the Selection tool, V for Select, and as you can see, here is our starting point for our design. We've got our elephant here, and in order to make a second elephant, I'm just going to copy it and paste it, and then use my Properties panel to reflect it. Boom. And I will go ahead and scale it down, holding the Shift key down, and there is my initial elephant and baby elephant.